born in France, in the Basque Country, and I grew up until I had a lot of fun until I started going to school. The school wasn't my favorite thing to do, but seemed like anytime we had some kind of class or something, after the first 20 minutes, seemed like it's a wasted time because it seemed like I already knew that. So in other words, I was always a little behind what they were trying to explain to us. So when I got to be about 12 years old, or whatever, yeah, about 12, my older brother got called to go to Vietnam, to the army. And my dad right then, he said, well, now since it's summer, you're gonna have to help us on hay and all this farm here, and you're gonna have to stay home a few days. Well, I then had to go to school after that for a while there. But then like a kid, well, you know, this is not that much fun either. Because when I was going to school, I could play handball and we had a lot of fun there. So anyway, by the way, I had two brothers and a sister, and I'm the youngest one. And for some reason, I had more energy than the rest of them. Seemed like things were so slow there. And, well, I don't know. No, I wasn't satisfied, let me put it that way. And now here, by the way, I'm going to show you when I was 12, how we used to plow and work the ground with the oxen. This is me right here, one of the pictures, when I was just about 12, maybe 12 and a half. And then after that, well, then finally my brother got home, and I decided, well, before he got home, I already had an idea. I had two neighbors, they had been already in the United States, and my dad, before he went back to France and got married to my mother, he had been over here in the United States, in Imperial Valley. He herd sheep there. In fact, that's where he told us he never got any money until that day he decided to go back to France. You believe he stayed all that time without wages just to pay when it was time. But anyway, so I thought everything was rosy in the United States, and everybody keeps saying they're all rich, you know. I mean, you don't have to work as hard, and you know, it's just easy. But anyway, I had my mind made up to go, and I started the applications about when I was, 17 and a half, not quite 18 years old. And applying for a visa, we had an agent there, and he took me in, and it took about almost 18 months before I got the visa to come. So anyway, I ended up coming finally the July 24th in 1959. And I had a cousin in California, in Chino, and he, in fact, loaned the money to for the trip and of all the expenses, which I didn't dare ask my parents because they were a little upset for me leaving in the first place, and they might have the money, but I didn't. I came with nothing anyway. So I landed in California and LA, and my cousin picked me up, and never been in that airplane all along been before, and I got so darn sick. I mean, I thought I was gonna die. So I swear, well, I'm never gonna go back to anywhere. I'm not gonna fly again. So anyway, when I was in Chino there, he pulled me with this Dutchman. He had a dairy there and washing cows. And then after that, they had taught me how to put the machines on, how to milk them with the machines. And my cousin found me the job for these Belgian people there, and after that, I was milking. Well, for a while there, I was milking about 120 cows, and winter months we put in about 9 hours somewhere there, 9.5 hours, in the summer. In the winter, because cows were so dirty, it took so much longer, probably 12 hours, 7 days a week, $480 a month. And one day, then when I got my first check, I give it to my cousin. I say, I got to pay you for what I owe you. And he said, well, you got to sign it here. So he made me sign in the back. And then next time, when I come next check, I did the same thing. So when I got paid up, finally he said, well, now you got I got the whole you owe me. I'm going to take you to the bank and you're going to open an account. What's that? You put the money there, this way you leave it there, don't touch it. I said, oh, well, we did. So I think the first check that I put in there, I think it was like $220 or something that I was left from. So I opened an account with that. And then from there on, I every month, no matter what, if I had to pay the trucks or whatever when I was getting bigger, I did put every month $25 at the bank. I know it was the bank lady that she was boss lady. She looked at me every time and she knew exactly how much I was going to put in. $25, I keep putting it in there. They thought that was funny, and I thought, well, thank God that I did, you know. I mean, it helped. My same cousin, he said, you know, you're out of your mind. You can make a lot more money for it if you go ahead and go to another dairy or find another job. I'm only milking 90 cows, and I'm getting $625 a month. And I get this every other Sunday off. So yeah, but how am I going to find out? Well, that went on for a while, and same time I had a little bit of experience from France. My uncle used to do some slaughtering butcher pigs, and mostly in the winter because we didn't have a refrigeration. So meantime, I got acquainted with a bunch of French, or Basque, mostly they were French then, and Chino there. They had to butcher some lambs or some pigs or something. So I started doing some butchering. So that was going good. In the meantime, well, I met a bunch of these trucking outfits. They haul hay and stuff to the dairies. So I went and started to unload hay and handling some of those bales. And so they found out, well, they call me Frenchie. Frenchie can go anytime, so they just take me sometime in the 2, 3 in the morning. They come pick me up. I didn't have a transportation. So I made a little money there and butchering a little bit. And so finally ended up, I had a little money and bought a little truck. Got the butchering going strong. We butcher a lot of beef, pigs, lambs, and finally I couldn't keep up with it, so I had another little guy, Dominic, another bass boy. I hired him. So we were going strong, and at the fair time, we butcher about anywhere from 80 to 85 pigs, about that many lambs, and about 68, 66, 65, 66 somewhere there steers. Took about 2 days on each deal there. So while we're doing that, here's after I got in my own, I got a picture right here. What it looked like, I'm right behind my truck. Here's a steer hanging right there. And then here is another one where the guy I worked for, we had already quartered half hanging in there. That's how we used to do it. And we had rails in the truck and we roll them right in. So then at the same time, I had a small acreage where I was renting there, and I started putting some beef cattle there. So I had some little feedlot, and I used to sell them to good friends that I'm a friend of mine, and then I got acquainted with the Highway Patrol, and they had the office in San Bernardino, and they got to where from one to the next, they talked about it, so I started selling beef quite a few to them. So that was me right there with a few showing there. We had the Herefords then, now we changed to the Angus, but anyway, when I got to the point where the cattle market hit the bottom, in fact, I saw some fat steers, like as big as you saw in the picture, 28 cents a pound. I mean, my shirt went with them. Good thing I didn't have too many to go, but that's when I decided, well, Holstein heifers, they're worth a lot more, and there's a lot of demand. And since I knew all those dairies from butchering, and some of those young kids, they used to come and play racquetball with me to the hotel. So we got acquainted, and I started with the heifer business, and then we ended up, well, county started coming, well, you got to have more acreage for that many cattle. You cannot have that many cattle there. So they were trying to change all the rules and all of which they didn't make it through in the end. But anyway, at that time, then another buddy of mine, Jim Parachute, wanted to come hunting to Colorado, and he wanted me to go with him. I said, well, I don't know if I want to go or not, but we finally decided to go. We went to Narita to see Felix Mendisco, and from there we ended up at Hasted Mesa. That's where Louis Orayet had sheep, and right there I met Louis, and he knew right away, well, I could butcher and do this and that. Next thing, well, I started hunt. Here we come to Fruta, and we had to butcher 3 pegs for him, wrestled them first by hand, and anyway, we got that done, and I had the next day we had to get them all processed, made sausage, and we made everything. And he took me back, and on the conversation, I told him, well, I'd like to find a place somewhere here, if possible, some acreage, because they're complaining. They want me to get out of there if I got too many cattle. And he said, well, I don't know. There's not too many places here though, with the corrals and stuff, but I'll let you know. So a few months went by, and he called me about this place up here on the 15 road, and it was 10 acres with corrals there in the house. So right away I came up and looked at it, and we got the realtor and made a deal. That was in 1974. And then by the time I got everything done, liquidated the stuff, the house and trucks and stuff in California, it was quite a while. So 75, we moved here with, I think I had about 80 some calves. And started from there. Then we started going bigger on numbers, so about the feedlot on behind, which was connected, and was available, which it was, the bank had it. So anyway, after I got that going, seemed like the cattle I keep going and going, but the market was so much cheaper, the calves, I could buy some of those at about anywhere from $325 to $375 per head, almost about just about $92 a pound. So anyway, I ended up going bigger and bigger, and then pretty soon, well, we got to where we needed more space, so I ended up buying another piece of property south of us, and had to build more corrals there. So here we got, this is one place right here. Well, there's only a few there, but we had probably about close to about 1,800 there in that spot. And then we built another set of corrals south of us, and this is a part of the picture right here with the house. And by the way, I built that house up there, and in between. It was just bare ground there, just a hill. And what I did, all of the ground that I could farm, I farmed it, and everything else wasn't any good. We knocked the tops off. That's why I had a big dozer, and make it available for corral. So we built the corral probably 1 to 1.5 a week. That's why we had to keep going so fast. So then I started selling cattle, which that was great when I had the money coming in. But the only thing was I send the loads from here with about, depends on the weight, 37 to 38 head per load. But then coming back, some of those guys, they want me to take some heifers against the money for part of it. So I end up probably about with 70, 75 calves coming back. So here we go again. We had to build. So anyway, we went on for quite a while that way. And then pretty soon with another piece of property come along, 71 acres connected there. And I thought, well, this looked pretty good if I can connect the top, the hill there for field lot. So we went on and made a deal with that, and I started building some more up there. So here we go. The numbers went up and up, and we ended up with about, for a while, the highest, a little over 4,000 head. So thank God we had some good farmers in the valley. They're good neighbors and good guys. They grow hay, silage, and everything, everything we needed. And we were buying anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 tons of hay, and about anywhere from 6,000, 7,000 ton silage. And then we got to the point where we were using about 8,000 ton a year. And here's a part of the, this is only one part of hay we used to stack. Sometimes we had about anywhere from 7,000 to 8,000 tons just on many different places. So thank God all those farmers, they grew all the hay, all the silage, everything I needed, as long as we knew early in the spring how many acres you're going to have of this or that. I got to know so I can plan on. Anyway, okay. So every once in a while, or once some of those years, we get some hay got rained on. Well, those Holsteins are pretty picky. They don't like the weedy hay or rained on hay. So at that point, I started buying some Angus heifers, beef cattle. So we got a few. And as we go little by little, well, numbers went up. So meantime, well, on 86, well, Ruth came along. We got married, which was my second time. And then we thought, well, she was such a good help. I might as well get a little bigger, a little further. Things are going good. And so we end up with a lot more cattle, excuse me. And then we bought a ranch in Gunnison. So that was a real nice place. And this is part of it. We had all the collar cows there, but this is a barn and part of the Gunnison Ranch there, just part of it. Anyway, so we went up there and we got numbers up, but 200 some head there. So they can use the port hay. Those beef cattle will eat anything. So we were using the port hay there. In the meantime, I kept the farmers satisfied, buying everything they had. They didn't want me to leave anything behind because then they'd be harder to deal with. So that was the whole key to going with the beef cattle. But then we got up to about 300 on them. And but what was that, 2005, 2004, 5, yeah, 2004, 2005. You know, I got the dairymen that I was dealing with. I was dealing with California, Arizona, New Mexico, but mostly in California. And those are those young kids, the guys that I deal with, they were my age. But then their kids come along, and the computers come along. So here we go. Every time I had a little discussion about something, well, now wait a minute, Mr. LaBrouche, the computer says this, the computer said that, you know. Well, sometimes the computer wasn't 100% right either when it comes to numbers. And so anyway, it was getting a little under my skin a little bit. And after, but I've been at it for almost 40 years with them. I thought, well, you know, these beef cows look good. And they're simple. I don't have to be there, you know, just living with them almost. So I decided maybe to get out of that and stay with the beef business. So we did. And decided to sell this place. No, excuse me, I got to go back. In between there, I forgot to say it, in 1985, about the period of time, we were going to play handball at the 24 Road, Gene Urity's place. Emily Chard and Louis Uriet and my good buddy Gabriel Gorino, the neighbor, he was taking off when he wanted it, and we go play handball there, but we had to go during the day, which all those bass people couldn't go because they all have a job. They had to punch a card. We didn't have to do that, lucky, you know, we were self-employed. So anyway, I decided to build a handball court. So we did, put one up. And here I got to have some pictures here in a minute. I can show you where, well, Gabriel, he's the one who was helping. Here's the picture. It was put up in 3 pieces. The cement was poured on the, first they poured the floor, then they poured the walls on top of the floor. And here's one with the big old crate, the front part. They're raising it up, picking the front up of the handball court. And then this one is up here, across the road. You can see a haystacks. I don't know if it's me or somebody playing handball there. We had it going. And then here we got probably the boys and some other kids, probably some moaning that we didn't have anything else to do, whatever, that we were playing there. We had a lot of fun with that. So anyway, to go back to my Angus cows, when we decided to sell this, here comes IRS. So we had to find something to go in the exchange. As big as money-wise, it's the same value or more to get out without paying, you know, life, or the whole life to give it to the IRS. So the only place we could find it was in Idaho. We looked all over here. We had several different little places. We even thought about putting 2 or 3 together, but then there would be so much traveling and so many trucks involved to move the cattle. So we moved to Idaho. So we got a big place over there. We ended up with 3,000 acres, and we bought their cows and all their equipment, and we ended up with 555 mother cows. We did that until for 15 years, until we got to be almost old enough to know better. When you get to be 70, 75, we thought, well, we're old enough to vote, so maybe we can, you know, decide some difference. So here's some of the cows that we had in Idaho, which was a few of them there. And we had a good business there, but then after that, well, the cold weather got, you know how these old joints get. So Ruth and I were there. After we sold that up there, we decided to sell, and my son is still there, one of them. But we decided we had a nice place there. We stayed there for 5 years, and then I told Ruth one morning, you know, after I plowed snow 3 times a day, and we had a loader and everything. I mean, it was easy. I mean, we had the equipment, but I got so tired of it. I said, you know what? We're going to take a trip, and we're going to go to Colorado, and we have to find a little place sometime up there, going north of Fruta or west of Junction somewhere. So here we come. We got this realtor. We went around a couple days, looked several places, and nothing satisfied us. And she kept telling us about this place here. It's only about 4 miles from where we had the other place, but I wasn't real sure about the location. So I left it to the last day, and finally I told Ruth that night, I said, you know what? She took us all over the place, and we might as well let her have the satisfaction and the money to show this one. So she said, well, we pick you up at 7:30, and I can show it to you before you go back to Idaho. And so we came up here, and we looked things over, and I liked the location after all. Then we did quite a few changes, and I still do my little butchering. I got my own little shop there. She does all the wrapping and all of the stuff. And we still do a little bit of farming, a little bit of cattle business yet. But again, thank God to all the farmers and all these Basques that I know here. Here in Colorado, there's more Spanish Basque than there is French Basque. We're only about 3 of us for quite a while here when I first moved here. But all these Spanish Basques, they came, most of them from the sheep camp, and they went on the construction, like maize and Smith pipeline construction, and hardworking devils, every one of them, a bunch of them. And they helped this valley, I mean, unbelievable. And they do a lot of farming, they do have a livestock, and they still do, and do construction, some on their own. And like we did, you can only work so long for somebody, and we have enough energy, we want to go on our own. In other words, we don't like to take orders too many times. So I know these boys, only thing that I feel bad about, I didn't get too acquainted with these boys, Spanish boys here, the ones in town, because they were all working whole week. On the weekend, they were probably doing their thing. And here, being such a business with the feedlot and everything here, I always gave the higher people day off, if we could, if we were in hauling hay or something. So then, Ruth and I, we were in charge with everything to make sure nothing was wrong with the animals, and anything we had to load cattle or whatever it might be. So that's why we never got too acquainted with these boys. Now I do, because we're not this busy, but no, they really, really helped the valley a lot. And I love Fruta. We did a lot of business with Fruta. I mean, co-op, and I mean, fuel, I mean, equipment, parts, just name it. Help, a lot of help. Drivers we had, and so Fruta has been I love to see it stay that way. I doubt if it's going to be very long, but what I like to see is some of these people moving to the country, if they would do a little bit more to keep the places up. We had such a neat place. Everybody was just not so many houses, and everybody were proud of having our homes and try to keep things clean and around. And The only thing is now we have some of these doesn't look as good, and seem like Wind Junction is coming closer and closer to Fruta. So it's happening the same as happened to me in California. The city is coming in. They don't want you with the cows there. They don't want the farming. They don't want the farm equipment on the road. So I think it's beginning to that here. And I know it's got to happen, so more people got to go. But I don't agree with it. I wish they go to, if they're going to just have just a house, they don't like the lawn anyway, go up there in the Whitewater and go all the way to the Delta up there. You got plenty of ground up there to build the houses and leave this farm ground alone. You know, because at least this farming really keeps the country going. Not just the city people doing whatever, working at the bank or insurance or whatever. Farming and the livestock industry is the key to this country. I wish they could, but I can see where they're pushing us little by little.
When you got together with Louie and Emil and Jean, how about some stories about what you did when you had your handball court?
Well,
let's hear some stories like that.
I'll tell you that real easy. When we first started, before I put my handball court up here, we were going to 24 Road, and I don't know if you know Gene or not. You didn't, you know him. And he said 1 week it'll be no matter if it was once a week or twice a week. If we go play, usually it was around 10 in the morning, somewhere there after we got done with all the chores. And the old Gene, he's gonna, the week before he's gonna say, "Hey, Louis, that's your turn to bring the lamb chops." Or the next time, "Hey, LaBrouche, don't forget the lamb, or bring some of those steaks if you want." You know, so he had that old cook stove there. So we played like mad, sweat like a, and then surely, you know, somebody had a little jug there, or he could ask, "Hey, Emo, it's your turn to bring the bottle," you know. So anyway, we had a nice party there, lamb chops, and we fried some potatoes, and we usually find some sourdough bread, somebody somewhere. So we did that several times. And then after that, Jim passed away, and then my boys were growing up, and I don't know, in the back of my mind, back again, typical Basque, once you get something in your mind, it happens. We don't change our minds too easy. So anyway, I had my mind made up to put the handball court up, since I had the boys and everything. And then thank God that Emil, Richard, and Louis, and Gabriel, we were there, and we had a lot of fun. But Gene started it to begin with, because I knew him well. In fact, years ago, that 1 year we came hunting, they had the Bass Festival where Gene was involved at the caravan. You've probably been there. And so that's where I met some of these boys, and when Jesse Gorino, he was a cook there. Yeah, way back we had some good times. I did just about everything you can think of to make $1. So when I was butchering, because I had little time yet, I had a lot of friends that were in the landscaping business, and relieved me up, you know, for some of them on weekends or whatever. And I go work 2-3 hours landscaping, and I go to those guys unload some hay. I mean, we had wrestled those 3-wire bales. God, then they were heavy. And to make a little extra money, and my good buddies there, they always help me out. I handle more hay than, anyway, I did just about everything you can think of. So anyway, then here what thing I was going to show you. I had this man, he worked for us about 30 years probably, 32 years. And his name was George Tatum. And I had him run the bulldozer and the pit, which a pit was probably about 100 feet wide by 500 some feet long. and we were going up about, the pile was up to about 25, 30 feet high. You keep pushing it up. I had him running this dozer until he got too far at the edge, almost tip over. So here I am. I heard, like, oh, they got me. I was talking to a farmer up there, Hutchins, and about something about hay. So I had to, they come and got me. They got me in my cell phone. Lucky I had it. So I had to get one of my front end loaders, both of them. One of them to hold it from tipping, this one, and then the other one to try to help it pull it up. We saved it. We got back on the wheels, but that was pretty scary because that thing probably weighs about 50, almost 60,000 pounds. So if it would have flipped, well, we would have been done. Somebody got me French and English dictionary. And I decided in order to stay in the country with my visa, I may have to get my citizenship papers, or if they send me back, then I don't know if I'll be able to come back for so long or something, you know. So, and I liked the country, and I liked my friends there. I had a lot of friends, all the bass people and trucking office and stuff. So they helped me here and there. Anyway, I had two friends, Bill and Dean. The Dean was a trucker and Bill was a driver. So every time I go in my dictionary, here I go, and I had some kind of, on something, I was trying to read English, something, I didn't know what it meant. So I wrote that down, and he said, well, you dummy, I got to know where you found it, what was the paragraph, what did it say, you had to explain to me. So I had to go back wherever I found the magazine, whatever, and I take it whenever I had a chance to see them again. And they explained to me, that means this, that means that. So I had to learn my little English before I had to learn about the Constitution, about the flag. And so anyway, I worked pretty hard with it because I didn't have much education to begin with from where I come from. I never went to school here in this country, so I had to learn the hard way. And by golly, thank God, when it come time, my 5 years or 5 year and a half, you had to be limited. There was time, 5.5 years in the country without leaving the state before you can apply. I mean, before you can have your citizenship. So anyway, I got it, and I was so proud. And I still got my flag. And July 25th, that's when I landed in the United States. That's my day. Even now, she takes my flag up. We put it up for a whole week on July there. And we have to celebrate. That day, I won't do a thing. So there's one special day I have to say is when I got my citizenship papers, and when I got to Colorado, and I got to meet all these people, and how smooth everything went. We've been pretty lucky.